So your stop loss is not triggering, right? So we're going to talk about what you need to do in order to get the stop loss to trigger inside of the Robinhood brokerage. And we're going to talk about why those stop losses are not triggering. And it's mostly to do with not being properly set. So I thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit that thumbs up as we continue to grow the channel. I would appreciate it. Now, let's go ahead and get straight into this. So usually this will happen with stocks that move very rapidly. So whether they be Tesla, Nvidia, Mara, Riot, and some of these other stocks that move extremely quickly. And what happens is this: you get into this stock and you have a stop loss set a particular price, it doesn't trigger because guess what? It moves so fast that you don't have a buyer at the time that the stock has moved past what your stop loss is, right? So your stop loss is practically out of range. And so basically, right, you go to this order type here, you go to stop limit order, okay? And so, for example, Tesla is at $211 as it's showing here. Obviously, the markets are closed, but Tesla is at $211.50. And so, let's say I bought it at this particular price, and I'm not really willing to lose more than $10. So, as a stop price, right, I would put 201 50, right? And so you're gonna have to have a spread in case this thing moves very quickly, that it moves past the price you're willing to sell it at before there's actually a buyer for it. So you're gonna have a spread to maybe, let's say, 196.50, for example. That way, if Tesla goes below 201 and you have a chance of maybe selling at 250 cent, 199.50 cent, somewhere between 201.50 and 196.50. But ideally, if I was only willing to lose up to $10, really I would change this bottom to 201.50, right? Because I want to stick with what I said. Maybe I was willing to lose a little bit more, but in this particular case, because the stock moves so fast, maybe I have to change the way I'm doing things, and I may have to have a spread of, let's say, 205.50. That way, if it goes in a direction I don't want it to go, I have time enough to stay within range to get out within the realm of what I'm willing to lose. Okay. So the same thing like in Nvidia. You see Nvidia move pretty rapidly. Okay. So it's all about having the spread and giving yourself an opportunity to actually capture a buyer, because once they go out of your range, it's just too late, right? And so this is one of the unfortunate things. Okay. So for example, I get into Nvidia at 102. The most I'm willing to lose is $20. And so we wake up the next morning, Nvidia is at $80, and I'm like, man, my stop loss didn't trigger. So first of all, here's something important, right? You want to make sure your expire is set until canceled. This is very important, because what happens is a lot of these brokerages are allowing for trading to go on for 24 hours, like a Robinhood, and there's still activity going on. You wake up, like the famous Black Monday that happened in August. You guys all remember that? I think it was August 5th. I remember looking at Nvidia. That thing was down under $90. It had been sitting at like 120. I look up, it was down to like under 90. It was $87. So yes, I bought more, but if you were trading, holding this overnight, you were swing trading this thing. Let's say you were in an option, for example, that expired in 3 days or a week, you probably got ate up, right? And your stop loss wasn't properly set. So if I'm not willing to lose more than $20, I have my expire set to something that's going to be worth it for me, not just for that particular day. And I would go something like 87 at the top, and then I would do 82 at the bottom. Okay. That way, this will give me enough time to get a buyer within this range. So if it zip past 82, 87, maybe I could get someone to buy 86, 85, 84, somewhere in there. That way I don't have to go below what I want to sell it for, the amount of money I really want to keep, right? Not only that, big mistake in Robinhood, right? You got 100 shares. You have this set to one. People always overlook this. They come in and they're like, man, how come only one of my shares triggered? Got to pay attention, guys. You have to pay attention. If you got 100 shares, you have to put it all in here. This thing does not default to all of the shares that you have, like some of the other brokerages are. So this is more of a hands-on, uh, easier way to trade, but you're gonna have to take things into your hands and be much more accountable using this particular brokerage. Um, and yeah, this is unfortunate, guys. So number one, make sure you use a stop limit order. Number two, have a nice spread for fast moving stocks. Okay. Three, make sure your expires has an actual date on it of some sort, not just one day. Give yourself a little bit more time if that's something you want to lock in. And four, make sure those shares are the number that you need them to be. Okay, if you got 100 shares, this should not say one. It's not going to default it for you. Now, if we're talking something like an Apple, for example, um, maybe my spread doesn't have to be as big because Apple generally doesn't move as hard as a Tesla or Nvidia, for example. So my stop limit for Apple would be a little bit less, right? Apple is one of those things. Anytime it falls a little bit, you got buyers sitting there ready to buy it up very quickly. And it's not a stock that's usually traded as much as a Nvidia or a Tesla. The volatility is generally not there. But if you are going to trade Apple, for example, your range can be a little bit shorter. But as we go into more volatile times, and September is historically a more catastrophic month to the downside, maybe you want to have a stop loss if you're swing trading, for example, Apple. Now, let's say I'm not willing to lose more than $5 for Apple, for example. My range doesn't have to be is tight. So $5, I would have 215 here. Okay. I do something like 215 and then maybe 216 because I mean it could move quickly. We don't know, right? So 216. Or maybe if to be very careful, maybe you do 214, or maybe you do 214.50, something like that. Okay. So again, if I got 100 shares, I have to put that in there. If I'm worried about the amount of time I need, I have to put the good until canceled. And so here we go. This is how you properly set up stop losses, guys. Okay. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. What kind of videos would you like for me to explain more as it pertains to trading? I appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up. We're out. Peace.